How are you guys? Okay, I'm just buying time to get my point right here. When I was invited for this talk a few days ago, I had no idea what I'm going to do. With my wife, as well as my co-founder, my wife often terms my co-founder as my second wife, but that's how it works. Awesome people, I meet a lot of Pakistanis, I meet a lot of Muslims contributing to cutting edge technology all over the globe, makes me really proud. But one thing sticks. I'm in Seville, it's in southern Spain, Andalusia basically, and it's a Friday, and I want to pray the Friday prayer. I open Google and I look for a mosque and I don't find a mosque. I open maps, I don't find a mosque, and I think, okay, there's a shawarma's place downstairs, he's from Syria, he probably prays, so let's go and ask him. And he tells me there's not a single mosque in Seville. And this is the heart of Andalusia, really near to Cordoba, the center of the Muslim culture, and there's not a single mosque. Amazing. So, anyways, good trip. I make a lot of friends, I make good money, and I'm boarding my flight back to Pakistan. Uneventful check-in experience, good queues. We land into the flight, but my aisle is blocked. Slowly, I reach my seat, and in between that, I see the chaos happening. There are two gentlemen who are fighting for a seat. The flight attendant comes and asks them to hand over their boarding passes, and to my surprise, the seat belongs to neither of them. They're my countrymen. I muster up the courage, I sit down, so it's a 8-seat in a row configuration. I'm sitting in the second one, there's a gentleman sitting on the fourth one over there. And he rings the bell for the flight attendant. Ping! Ma'am, can I have a beer? Sure. He gets a beer. I'm indifferent, I don't care about it. 15 minutes later, ping. Ma'am, beer. He gets another beer. Still, uneventful, pretty cool, nice flight, we're enjoying it. Ping. 15 minutes later. Auntie, can I bet a beer? No, the term has changed to auntie because he's getting drunk. The auntie doesn't mind and still hands him a beer. Pretty cool, awesome. And another time, and this time he goes like, "Bibi, beer mil jayegi." I'm not kidding. He still gets his beer because they're gracious hosts in the flight. It's for an airline. And then for some reason, he starts saying, "Modi, beer de de Modi," loudly, without ringing the bell. It gets extremely embarrassing, as you can imagine. And then he rings the bell again. This time, the mail steward comes and he gives him this can. I'm not counting, but he says, "This is the 7th and the last can. Don't ask for another one." We enter Pakistani airspace. To my relief, they cannot serve any more beers in Pakistani airspace. I am relaxed, somewhat. And they hand us a form before landing. I don't remember what it was, but it was something to do with some declaration that you have to sign and submit before passing through customs. But I don't have a pen on me. Now, people who know me know that I'm generally extrovert and I don't mind ringing the bell and asking the air hostess for a drink or something, let alone a plan. But I froze. I could not muster up the courage to ring the bell and ask for a pen. I was so embarrassed. So from that day onwards, for a couple of years, I kept on thinking, why? And why us? I read a lot of reviews, I read a lot of books, I went through a lot of videos, different conclusions from different people. British colonialism ka asar hai. We were given some neema from Allah and we did not fulfill the destiny, whatnot. And during this time when I am contemplating that why and why us? Why us? Why is no one else doing something like this? Why don't we do it when we are outside Pakistan? My company shuts down because of similar issues from my own countrymen in my company. My company shuts down. And I'm back to zero. I started a new company. Alhamdulillah, 2 companies now. But I think about it that it's okay, I don't know why we are like this, but we can probably fix it, right? And I am going to do something to fix it because now it's becoming personal. I need to run my company. But I look around and I see a lot of NGOs doing awesome work with education. I see a lot of scholars doing a lot of religious work. I see different entities, different religious speakers, different motivation speakers doing their job. And I think to myself that if all of these people, with all of these resources and time cannot fix something, how can I? Can I? This was the situation till March 2025. I was honored to host a particular event which we call Daure Tarjuma Quran, where you go through translation of Quran before standing up for Tarawih during Ramadan. I was an organizer, so I seldom got the chance to listen to what the speaker was talking about. But 4 singular times I did get a chance. And out of 3 of them, there was one singular story being repeated. And I'm not making this up. The story was of that of Hazrat Yunus alayhi salam. You might have read that story. So Hazrat Yunus alayhi salam was sent to a nation, and that nation was a nation of disbelievers, and he was asked to rectify them. He spent time and time again to rectify them, but they ignored and they disbelieved. Now there's as we know from Quran, that God sends His wrath, torment on nations which disbelieve. So Yunus alayhi salam, in his hopelessness, he left the city. He boarded a boat, and the boat starts shaking. And back in that time, the people used to have this belief that if your boat is shaking and you are all of a sudden caught in a storm, then there's a slave on the boat which has run away from his master. So they cast lot, and 3 times Yunus' name appears, and they throw him in the water. A fish ingests him, and miraculously he survives. And then he says the words, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. And he's sent back to his people who were destined for torment, and they believe. And that's where it clicked. That if a Nabi of Allah was not allowed to be hopeless, then how can I be hopeless? If Allah ke ek Nabi ko bheja gaya, and he was not allowed to run away from his responsibility, how can we run away from responsibility? So this was the part where I reached in Ramadan. Now I try to identify what are the few things that are common which require to be there for a change. In every nation there are 3 types of people. Number 1, I'll try to explain it with an example, which is who throws trash out of the car, which leave public washroom dirtier than they get it. Okay, so we can name them anything. I'm not going to name them, I'm just going to tell you the attributes. They can be mischievers, chaos makers, whatever you want to call them. The second number of people are those who don't throw trash from the car. They dispose it off correctly. When they go into the public washroom, they come out and they leave it as they got it. Great, honest, good people. But then there's the third type. The third type who collect the trash that somebody else has left. Those who go into a public washroom and leave it better than they got it. They are the reformers. And they have this, what I call, sense of responsibility and commitment. And this is not singular to nation building. This is not singular to community building. What is an entrepreneur? What am I? I figure out a problem and I take it as my own responsibility to fix it. I don't wait for someone else to do this action. I do it myself. How many of you have read the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? What is the first habit? Sorry? Proactivity. Great. If you go deeper into detail of that particular section, what do you get? Sense of responsibility. But can I next slide, please? And if you think that you are singular in this problem and you are faced with unprecedented challenges, you're wrong. Think of Nelson Mandela. Think of Malcolm X. Think of Martin Luther King. Think of Gandhi. Think of Quaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Think of all the prophets. They had much bigger challenges than you have today. And they went through it. Now I told you in the start that I left a job which was amazing. And I did not know why I'm leaving that. Now I know why I left that. Negativity. We were doing awesome work, but no one will talk about goods, they will talk about failures. We are making good money, but everyone will talk about when we will get the next increment, and the next increment is lesser than the previous years. We work in state-of-art technology, but we will always be talking about, oh look, that person is making so much money, or he's going for a PhD, and I'm not. That sort of negativity grows on you. And the people I've mentioned before, the reformers who are actually doing good work, it's their job to repel this negativity from themselves and the environment they are in. They have to be the ones who always promote constructiveness. If you call a nation dead, then you are the one who are more dead. This is a hadith actually. You can never be an element of change if you're not constructive in your efforts. And finally, when you do determine to enter into a journey, be it making a startup, be it making a community or anything, the thing that you need is to be laser focused. You cannot be a passenger of two boats. You cannot have side objectives. Yes, it's okay to have goals leading to this bigger objective, but always be very clear and very open and very thoughtful of what you are heading to and how your every minute being spent is contributing to that bigger focus. So that is almost the end of the talk, but again, we'll do that same questionnaire. Close your eyes. Now, how many of you are content with your current circumstances, personal circumstances? Okay. How many of you are content with the surroundings? How many of you think that surroundings can change for better? Thank you, my job is done.